Hello, hello, hello. I thank you all for tuning in tonight to Wake Up African People Now. I am the host, Aset, and I will be also joining me tonight. The Truth Doctor will not be in tonight. He is handling some business with his organization, the UNIA, there in Philadelphia. He will be joining us a little later on in the show. So definitely looking forward to that. Also tonight, our other co-host is joining me. Sister, are you there?
Yes. Hello, everyone. This is Queen Desiree. Nice having everybody on tonight.
Peace, Queen. How are you?
I am good. I'm looking so forward to our topic tonight. It's a hot topic. How about you?
Very hot. Very hot. Yes, we are definitely, there is a definite disconnect between the black woman and the black man, especially, and even, in the conscious community, so-called African conscious, who say that they want harmony, they want racial pride, yet they are still bringing these same behaviors into the movement that they had before they came into the knowledge of self. So we definitely want to address that tonight. Black love and relationships and just the whole disconnect between men and women, period, in the conscious community, whether it's relationships or just if someone's in a particular community organization, the dialogue and what is going on as far as the disconnect, how we are communicating with each other, how we view each other, how men view women and how women view men. It's a serious topic. It's a serious issue. And so we definitely want to address it tonight. Me and Brother Afar we have to address it. If we're ever going to move forward as the so-called conscious community, we prefer to call it the conscious movement since we're scattered abroad. So we say the conscious movement. Akbar came up with that, Truth Doctor. He came up with that terminology to describe our current situation as far as the conscious community is concerned. But definitely having a group with single people, our group has grown to 10,000, and people are joining every day. I sometimes I look at the list and I don't feel like quite dealing with that list of people that are trying to be accepted into the singles group. And so definitely through the years, a couple years, being an admin myself in the group, meeting different women and men who are single and hearing the stories of people meeting each other and coming together and or trying to meet up and establish a relationship, and still hearing the same things like that I would hear from any other couple who are unconscious, the same selfish, self-centered agendas, and we definitely have to address it. I think a lot of people have not. They haven't healed yet. They haven't learned from the past relationship. They're still taking the hurt and the pain and the bitterness from the last relationship, the disappointment, into the new one. And so that aspect of being aware of oneself, they haven't quite mastered. And it's understandable because it is, to me, it's understandable because everybody has a different level of, as we say, a different level of consciousness. People are just coming into the knowledge of African philosophy and African-centered community and the culture, still trying to, grasp hold to it and not really understanding the community aspect of it and what it means to be African conscious. It's not about individual self, but everything that you do and everything that you say, all of your actions are really going to affect a community indirectly, whether directly or indirectly. So people have to be aware of the relationships that they establish at all times. And so that's part of what I don't think that people realize. Some realize it, I think, and they just don't care. Some people don't quite realize it. And so I definitely want to have more shows like this talking about the disconnect between the men and the women. I was just watching a relationship lecture that Dr. Umar did. I don't know quite where the location was, but it was about a 40-minute clip earlier today. And he made some really good points about as far as women and how women approach relationships and the do's and don'ts. And one of, I think, the things that women do that I find fault in is approaching a relationship, looking for happiness in the relationship with the man, thinking that he will bring happiness to her without her first being content with herself and being happy with herself and having herself, building herself up. And I don't think women understand that good men are attracted to that, and they respect that. And there's too much pressure to depend on the other person, I think, for all of your happiness. I just think that's not fair in any relationship, entering a relationship. And so it was just really interesting to watch that and, talking about how women a lot of women are hurt from somewhere in their life, they have internalized the hurt from the previous relationship or internalized the pain of their past of being molested or abused, and just carrying that from relationship to relationship and never really dealing with it and healing from it and taking the time out away from the opposite sex to do it. And so I thought that was wonderful, the way, he got really he got very detailed, and he broke it down, how it affects him being a psychologist and how it affects, how what women do affects every relationship, all of us. It affects every single relationship that we enter in. And we being conscious, we know that we have to constantly study and constantly we're supposed to be aware. And so we're not just studying the history of our people, but we need to study how we can connect with one another. That's part of coming together as a conscious community. And Black love should be, I think, number one, because I think two people together, a strong couple, if we have a multitude of them, what a great, what an awesome conscious movement it would be without all this animosity and, we need to definitely, folk need to wake up as far as their relationships and how they deal with each other. And so tonight I wanted to start out Sister Desiree, did you want to say anything? I wanted to read something by a brother who wrote a book called Complementary. But go ahead. Did you want to add on anything before I did that?
Yeah, well, good job. I mean, that was excellent. And also, just to kind of piggyback a little bit on what, you were saying, it can be a very difficult task for two couples to be together when one is still with a background that's not conscious and the other person is coming into consciousness. I can see how the two just won't bind in that type of relationship. So sometimes it takes a lot of patience when you find your other half leading toward consciousness. Don't give that person time, and you need to kind of meet with that person because it's just something that you don't know. It's not that it's wrong. You just don't understand a lot of things. There's so much out there for us to know and learn about ourselves. So conscious is not just having information. It's a way of living. You have to adapt to learning. It takes time. You're not going to become conscious in one day. It's a everyday effort to be made. Just reading a book and having knowledge is not going to get you there. So when you're in a relationship, kind of work with that person, and you'll see together. Don't end it and walk away because this person is going to another level that you don't understand. Try to understand with that person. And not just men and women, but also friendships and things like that, other relatives. It's not worth losing a loved one over something like that, over someone trying to have knowledge, because there is knowledge out there to know. So just work with that person. Stay together. We need the Black community to stay together. We don't need people divorcing, breaking up, and all those things because it's something they don't understand. Work with that person to understand.
Right. That's right.
Okay.
I'm all about the Black family, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
We have got to. I agree.
Yes.
We have to be patient. What happened to the patience?
Right.
We want it then, and right now it has to be this way or else. Yeah. So we're in a fast-paced society, and everybody has this right now attitude, and us as a people we can be very dogmatic. We can be so stuck in our ways. So definitely I want to read a excerpt from a book called Complementary, and it's by, I hope I get his name correct. I just want to say Dr. Baruti because I can never get that first name. Mwalimu Baruti is his name. And he wrote a book it's called Complementary, and the subtitle is Thoughts for African Warrior Couples. which I love that. I love that subtitle, African warrior couples. Definitely, we are warriors of Black consciousness. That's how it should be. Like you said, not only reading the knowledge, but actively living the knowledge in all aspects of our lives. And so I want to read this excerpt. I'm going to start. And it says here, the couple is the bedrock of the nation. Without it, there is no family, no people. Without couples, there can be no family to procreate and rear confident, untroubled, anchored children. No viable, community-respecting generation can be born to continue the process of life, living, building, and defending. African couples must be whole, individually and as one. They must be able to trust each other, and that is what makes it imperative that we carefully choose our mates for African reasons. We must choose with a vision, for we are the vanguard. Our unions have a purpose for greater than the wants or needs of either member individually or the couple together. We do not bemoan this privilege. In fact, it is just the opposite. We are soldiers in love with forming beautiful families, rearing happy thinking children, building strong, lasting communities, and raising a mighty nation and removing all enemies. Each individual, created as male or female before birth, comes uniquely equipped with or otherwise has the potential to fully realize gender-specific skills and qualities. Our innately individual, sex-specific talents make males and females natural matches. Each male and female is allocated his and her share of strengths and challenges that combined allow for a creative and productive life on Earth. Each is able to compensate for each other's deficiencies through their creator-given and complementary expertise. In context, there is a distinct difference between surviving and living. Survival is to exist. In the African tradition, to be an adult without a complement is to survive, but to be coupled with one's complement is to live. Living is to exist and thrive at a full capacity, and full capacity is a community-based definition. Everything has been created with its complement so that each individual can create. And then he talks about Ma'at. Ma'at speaks in a progressive spirit to a procreative and cooperative movement. And as the core principle of Ma'at, complementary speaks to two differently qualified yet intimately interacting beings, forces or things diligently and continuously working toward a healthy, holistic balance. In a drive to maintain equilibrium between two beings, forces or things that must work together if either expects to survive and reach its full potential in the community of their universe. Talents and different powers must be cooperatively tied to a joint mission in order to achieve complementary. So I just wanted to read that. I think it's a powerful, powerful passage talking about how we can come together as a union and build from that. And like you said, there's no family, there's no people, and you can't have that. How can we build a nation? How can we come together as a community if we don't have that? And so I noticed a lot of how, and people don't, with these individual, like you said, the relationship is not an individual effort. You know, it's a two people coming together as one with a common vision, a common goal. And so I don't think people quite, everybody comes in with their own agenda, it seems like. What can that person do for me at that time? Not to me looking towards the future. And so even just getting to know each other. What is our purpose of getting to know each other? And are we just going to, is this just a fling, or are we serious? People are not honest about that at all. And I see it time and time again. Women, I of course, being in a group, women inbox me. The men don't come to me. I believe they'll go to the other admins, but they won't come to me. I've been told I can be a little bit hard on the men. But I just really want our brothers to realize that the black woman needs you. She loves you. She desires no other man but you. And so she needs to know that you don't have your own personal agenda. A good woman, she needs to know that. And so I've had women inbox me and tell me their brothers are coming in the group and trying to talk to them, and next thing you know, they want to inbox them a naked picture. So-called conscious men. What do you mean? Why are you inboxing the sister a naked picture? Or one sister inboxed me and she said, I don't want to embarrass him, but we were just chatting and he asked me to send him a picture of me in my underwear. And when she told me who his brother was, I could not wrap my mind around him even doing that. I was like, not him, are you serious? I was like, sister, are you sure? And then I was like, do you want me to get Brother Akbar on him? Because the truth doctor would get him. Our group, he's all about the men protecting the women. Our sisters need to be protected. That's what he's all about. And so I said, do you need Brother Akbar to get on this brother? Because he will do it. She said, no, I'll just, if it happens again, I'll let you know. And I've had a couple of those conversations with women. One woman inboxed me recently, and she said that a brother in the group, she thought he was a very knowledgeable brother. They had been getting to know each other over the internet. They were doing video chats back and forth for a couple of months. And he just out of the blue one day, and she has 2 daughters. I think she said they were like, I won't say their ages because I don't want to tell on her, but she has 2 daughters and single mom, of course. And he just one day asked her to take her, in front of the video camera, in front of her webcam, to get naked because he wanted to see what she was working with. And I was just like, I could not, the stories I hear, she said, I'm so disappointed because I really thought he was a good brother. I thought he was conscious. I thought he was for the people. And being for the people means being respectful of the women. And so I just, she couldn't believe it. Bless her heart. And so I told her, well, if I were you, I would never communicate with him again. I mean, who would ask somebody that they barely know, just getting to know each other, don't even live in the same state, maybe have had a couple of video chats to just get naked? I just, in front of the webcam. And so I was just truly amazed by that. How a lot of men, not to start bashing the men, but they have an issue with objectifying women and seeing women as objects of pleasure more so than just seeing her as a woman and as a human being who has feelings and emotions and, women deal with insecurities or
right.
or
sisters, excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
yeah.
And sisters need to try to be a little careful. Everybody on Facebook with a Kemet name or African name or claim to be conscious or whatever, they're really not. If those kind of things are going on, they should immediately take them off their friends list, because then they showed you who they are. Same with the males. I mean, they have to be careful for these females who are out there claiming to be conscious and they're, sending pictures of their behind and saying all these things that they shouldn't be saying if they're conscious. So it's just something that, you have to look forward for if you're looking for somebody that is conscious. Everybody is not who they say they are. So, when you're trying to be in a relationship with somebody, you need to be careful, period. So I just wanted to add that in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody with that name, it doesn't mean a thing. It doesn't mean a thing. I've learned that personally from experience. And so,
yeah, you have
definitely have their own personal agendas, and I've been shocked at the agenda that they eventually reveal. People have I've been just truly surprised by some of the people I've come across. And even, I know, and that's true with the whole men and the women that they might meet who claim that she's this African-centered, spiritual, hotep woman practicing
right.
I had one of my a friend of mine. He was telling me, he was really into this woman, and they hadn't met yet. Of course, Facebook. I wish, and from the group, we're going to start getting everybody to organize in their area so that they can meet people who are closer to them. But I think he was living in New Jersey and she was living somewhere down south. And they had been talking a little bit and interested in each other. And he called me one night. He said, "You would not believe this." He said, "She sent me a picture of her yawning." I'll say that because I like to say yawning. Yeah, she sent him a picture of her, just out the blue. And he's not. I know this brother. He's very respectful. At least that's what I know of him. I had known him for some years. He speaks highly of women. I just cannot, he was just like, if you know me, he was like, I would never, I ain't asked her to send me that picture. And so he was like, I can't believe she did that. He was like, I wonder how many other people she done sent that picture to, because I haven't known her that long. And that's true. So, yeah, some of these women, they assume that's what these men are attracted to. They assume, I don't know.
Yeah, our people are, some of us are, a little messed up, It's been, the way things have been designed, to be. We have lost, of course, our African ways, and now we're practicing, living standards of the European relationships and all those things. We need to come back to Africa We need to come back to our ways and the men need to treat the women the way the Africans treat the women, not the way the Europeans treat the women, and the same thing vice versa for how the women treat men. And so that's definitely something that needs to be worked on, everyone. So, and the respect is lost. I mean, the women have lost respect for themselves. I mean, I see so much,
right.
so many things. I mean, yeah, and then the men, I had to remove some people off of my Facebook page who were on there talking crazy and putting pictures up of African women's rear ends and all those things. And then they want to claim to be conscious and saying hotep and all that stuff. So, I don't even waste a second. As soon as I see something like that, you're done. I'm finished with you. So, yeah, you're right about that.
We need more women like that who are just like, we have to hold each other accountable more. Like, you're right. Like, just off my page, if I know you, say something. Because we have to hold each other more accountable. We just kind of sweep everything under the rug, don't say anything to each other. Seeing the other person participating in destructive behavior, and that's not, to me, that's un-African. That's not, that's not in certain, I know in certain tribes, they definitely, I was reading about this, I got this book, and it was talking about this tribe in Sierra Leone, and it was talking about their tribal culture and how part of it is holding the men and the women accountable for how they treat each other. And they'll get the elders and the whole village involved. They do it in a way, they do it in a way where it's a ritual or a tradition to it, how they do it. But they do it, and it keeps that tribe together. And everybody knows whatever they do is going to not only affect their spouse, but the community. That is their view. That is their culture. That's how they practice it. If a couple is having a problem, if a couple is having issues, if the wife has her confidant, the husband has his confidant, and they'll go to that particular person. And if it's getting out of control, they go ahead and they consult the elders of the tribe. And they all come together. Everybody who knows about the situation, the elders, of course, that circle, they form a circle, and we're going to iron this thing out. That's their attitude. We're not going to have this couple breaking up. We're not going to have this man treating this woman like that. We're not going to have this woman treating that man like that or conducting herself in this way. Or they go ahead and they handle it right then. Of course, their culture is centered around, it's called the Dangara tribe, and their culture is centered really around spirituality. They invoke the spirit every time that they all come together to address those issues. They do a special ritual that involves water, and they come together and they get it done. And I think we need to incorporate that aspect definitely into somehow, because we've been taught in American culture, and I think that's more passed down through slavery than anything. Oh, well, that's their business, what they do. And that couple, he cheated. She's going to have to deal with it. And the next thing you know, that couple's not together no more because people didn't get involved, didn't encourage that couple to stay together, people go, that's their, and so it wasn't a community effort. It wasn't, here we don't live in communities, so definitely couples should have other couples that they can confide in who have the same ideals and values that they do, and be surrounded by those people. And I think that will really help keep more of us together than separated. So I thought that was very interesting reading that book. And it's called, I thought I had the book with me. I must have, because I take my books in and out my house. I carry them with me because I don't know who I'm going to see and where the conversation is going to go, and if I got to pull out one of my books. So I think I left that book in the car. But definitely we have got to start holding each other more accountable in the so-called conscious community. And so I'm going to bring, I believe the truth doctor is now going to join us. I'm going to bring him in. Sister Desiree, you still there?
Hello.
Okay.
This is the truth doctor. And I want to join y'all ladies for a minute because y'all doing a wonderful job putting this information out. But I got to let y'all know that this thing goes both ways. There's some sisters out here that's doing the brothers wrong too. So we don't want to forget them. And there's brothers out here that's doing the sisters wrong. But I say to the brothers, most of all, I hold you more responsible because you are the men, you're the shield, and you're the protectors of the woman. And if we had control of our society as men, we wouldn't have these problems. But we are living in a society that controls us, that uses sex for everything. And these people are hypnotized on sex because we didn't even have sex like that. And I think that everybody should get this book called African Holistic Healing by Dr. Leola O. Africa. And it has a chapter in there about holistic sex and how we used to practice sex. A lot of people might not like it, what he says, but we used to can smell our women when they came in heat, just the way an animal smells their women when they come in heat. We knew when it was time to copulate. We didn't copulate just for pleasure like we do now. But a lot of people might not, they might not agree with that because everybody into this pleasure thing. You got to do it, you got to hit it right, and you got to do this, you got to do that. And there's a bunch of bull, because without growing your spirit, and having all these children everywhere, and you're not taking care of them, you're not surviving, they can't survive without help from their mother and their father. And I'm not talking about just their survival for food and everything. I'm talking about what's put in their head by the woman and the father. Because they have a lot of houses that has just a mother, and I was just a father, a single father. So I know what a woman goes through raising children, and it's hard, very hard. And I put my hand out to all the single mothers that's out there because I've been through what you've been through. So, y'all sisters proceed.
Okay. I have that book, as a matter of fact, and it's an awesome book. I purchased it late last year, and I read it, and it has some great tips in there on how to eat properly, to be able to function well for the woman and the man. And, yeah, it is. It's a great book, and, it's worth purchasing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Wille Africa, he's been around for some years.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the book called again for people who are just tuning in?
It's by Layla Africa. It's on holistic healing.
It's
one
African,
of
African holistic healing.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the first volume. I haven't seen the second volume. I breezed through. I seen it, but I breezed through it. I didn't read the whole thing. But the first volume is the one where I seen that it may be in the second volume too. But if you can live by Dr. Africa's book, you won't have no health problems because it's hard to live with by his book.
Mhm.
Because he don't even push using deodorant. You don't use deodorant because I don't even use deodorant. When my arms smell, I wash under them. And then I use baking powder in the summertime. In the wintertime, I don't use nothing under my arms because your arm is almost like your mouth. But anything you touch on your skin, it goes in your bloodstream. Because, you got a lot of veins that connect your heart and all that stuff that's underneath your arm and all that stuff. And, when you put them harsh chemicals from, all these, it scares me, these right guards and all this other crap that's in there, they don't care what's happening to you. My ex-wife used to get knots under her arm. And when I got her to stop using that years ago, the knots stopped coming from under her arm. She used to get little cysts under her arm and stuff and everything, and it was from the deodorant. Because deodorant is just as dangerous as all the other stuff out there. They have a rock that Dr. Africa pushes inside his book that you can use the rock. It's just a rock. And somebody, you put the rock under your arm and it mixes up with your body, fluid on your body, and it keeps you, from smelling. And if your underarm smell real bad, it's something that you eat anyway.
Right.
But we don't want to get into a whole health show tonight. We was here talking about relationships in the conscious community. And I have a few sisters on my page, and I have 3,000 on this page that I'm talking about, came in my inbox and said every time they say something on one of my posts, men track them and try to talk to them and try to holler at them and everything, because Facebook is really become people just looking for companions, which is nothing bad about that, but they're looking for them in the wrong way. And I see a lot of brothers. I had to kick a brother off my page called Soapbox the other day, and he was really going on these sisters. I didn't even see it because I was busy preparing my shows and doing other things I had to do. And the sister came in my inbox and said, "Why you got this guy on your page?" I was like, "Sister, I can't, control who's on my page. I didn't even see it." But once I seen what he was saying to the sisters, I immediately deleted him because I don't go for brothers disrespecting the queens. And anybody that's been in this conscious community for a long time knows that brothers started forging this thing. And then the sisters join in because one of the only that I know of, and that's just one, I'm talking about way back in the day, sister that we had that was in there with them brothers back in the time of George G.M. James and all them, was Drusilla Dungy Houston. She had this book that you should read called The Wonderful Ethiopians. So we have to start respecting our women. The women that's around me, and if you notice my show, I've heard talk about it from other people saying, "Oh, I got the women on my show." Because brothers don't want to hear sisters talk. They want to keep them shut up and rule like some king stuff, and it don't go that way, brother. They don't want them to voice their opinion and everything. We are not living in Africa. We are not living where the women, and even in Africa, let me say that, women in Africa don't take no crap. You know what I'm saying? The tribal women don't take no crap. If you don't believe me, look at Maasai marriage. It's a video about how Maasais do. You won't like it if the sisters could do what the Maasai women do. Because the Maasai women could be married. They have to give them 8 cows, or the best cows they have. So the cows will grow up so they can lead them to their children and everything. But if she wants to have a lover, she can sing out a song that they sing, and one of the warriors could come out of the woods and sleep with her, and there's nothing that the husband can do. So a lot of women might want to be Maasai.
Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, my. No, now, I know these men in the U.S. will not go for that. But they will go for patriarchy, though. They will go for polygamy. I'm sorry. They'll go for polygamy. That's okay. But no polyandry.
Yeah, they start getting a little crazy when you start talking polyandry and stuff. They don't want no competition because, see, we done learned from this Caucasian how to dominate the women. Yeah. Because, when we were in slavery, white women wasn't too far behind, and they wasn't in bondage or nothing like that, but they couldn't do nothing. Mac could go down to sleep with all the slaves he wanted to, anytime he wanted to. She'd be up there in the bed by herself with the pillow between her legs, wondering what the big bucks down there could do for her. And if she got caught with a buck, and many of them got caught with black bucks. And they hollered that rape thing, because, that's their special thing. They've been hollering that all the way up to this day. The black man raped them when they get caught, But now it's being pushed. There was a time when you was getting killed, slaughtered, ripped to pieces and torn to shreds over sleeping with white women. But now today, brothers forget their ancestors, forget their heritage, forget what happened to our people, and go ahead and bed up with these bad boys and have children that basically don't really resemble them, only maybe in some features, but their skin color ain't the same, their hair texture ain't the same, and they don't smell the same. Because they talk about black people stink. I wonder what black people thought when they met white people. Because back then it wasn't no deodorant or nothing.
Right.
Okay. Because I'm telling you, they smell funnier than we do. I like the natural smell of a black person, you know what I'm saying, instead of that, because I'm used to being around my people. But like I said, the brothers, the sisters, all of us need to be in check. And the sister was talking about the council of elders, and the tribe coming together and setting up, boundaries for what you can't cross and what you can cross, and they dealt with it. We need to do the same thing. We have elders, the conscious movement. I don't like to call it community, because community is when you all living together. We're all scattered on the internet everywhere. So the conscious movement needs to set up a council of elders to take all these things to it, and the person needs to be exposed, because we cannot beat them, kill them, or nothing like that in the situation we live in now, because we don't have no power here. Unless a brother want to go to jail or something, but they can be done in another way. Their name could be put out. They could be banished from the community. And their name could be out. Right. Like we named a few of them on the last show that we had, when sisters came in and was naming the brothers and on the pimps, exposing the conscious pimp and the pimpettes. Very good video. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. We have a lot of good videos in our archives. And next week, after all our shows on Thursday, we will be having Professor Griff on our show, coming down, dropping that knowledge on the people. So, like I said, y'all sisters, y'all really catching a lot of stuff, because women are, more sensitive than men are. When it comes to giving up their body and everything, it's different. A man can sleep with 100 women and never have no type of feeling for none of them. But most women, a real woman, once she gives herself to you, she gives her everything to you. And then when she gives that to you, and then you turn and do some crazy stuff, that really breaks her down. It's women leaving the conscious community. I had a sister come in my inbox today. I'm not going to call her name, but this is one of the most powerful sisters on the internet. She came in my inbox and told me she's tired of this, and she got to take care of her son and do what she do. She's tired of trying to raise these people up. So this is a hard job. Mm-hmm. Everybody can't stick with it. Some people get hurt, sisters get hurt, and they like, hell with this. I was doing better with the unconscious brothers than the conscious brothers, and that's a damn shame to say that an unconscious man could compete with a Negro that claims that he's conscious, or a Negro claims she is conscious. But let me tell you this. We're going to clean this stuff up. We're going to change this one black person at a time. That's why we got this show. That's why we're bringing this issue up, and this is why we are going to continue to let the people know that change has to come. Because do you want your children being without a father? Do you want your children being without a mother? Do you want your children to be influenced by negative behavior? I know you really don't. So chickadee, check yourself before you wreck yourself.
That's it. That's it. There has to be some self-accountability. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Absolutely. We have to start looking at ourselves differently. We have to carry ourselves in a better way now. So, we want respect. You got to show respect for yourself, and that's just the bottom line. So, yeah, I agree with you, Brother Akbar.
That's sad, that sister says she's tired. So is she really just done trying to wake folk up, or is she taking a break? Truth, doctor?
Yes. I was taking a break. I was leaving y'all ladies to yourself because I'm eating this crab salad right now on the line. So I was letting y'all really do this show because you know the Truth Doctor busy.
Well,
we had a sister today.
Crab salad.
Well, let me tell you what happened to the Truth Doctor today. It was an older sister, and she has a house, and she let some of her family members supposed to be fixing the house, and they're trying to steal the house from her because it's in a nice neighborhood. She's an old UNIA member, and the elders called me down there to help look for her a place to stay temporarily because her electric and everything is off. Because this is what the UNIA is for. I want everybody to know that the Universal Negro Improvement Association African Community League is still alive. We might not be as Garvey was, but we're working towards it. But we have to put this self-help and self-development ideology in the minds of our people so we can raise above servitude, serving everybody's interests but our own interests. So the sister needed somewhere, so I had to go down and make some contacts, and we were able to get her somewhere to stay while she's recuperating because she just got out of the hospital where they was taking care of her. And that's another thing I want to mention. It don't have nothing to do with the show, respect for our elders. Well, it has a lot to do with our show. Let me put this wrong. Because you don't respect your elders, you don't respect nobody. Because your elders is your mother, your grandmother, your grandfather, your auntie, all the old wise people in the community that the white man is housing in senior citizen buildings. So they won't be with us because the wisdom has left out the community because the elders hold the wisdom because they've been here longer than we are. And they've seen things that we haven't seen, and they've been through things that we haven't been through yet. Now, a lot of us been through stuff, but you ain't been here no 70 years going through anything. You ain't been here. My dad's 90. I cannot say I had the experience my dad has. So we have to start respecting our elders, and then it trickles down from respecting your parents all the way to respecting the children that you have so they will respect you and respecting your woman. Because you don't respect your woman, you don't respect your man, and your children see you doing this, guess what? They're going to follow what you do. Because the children are a reflection of the older people and the elders. And they took our elders from us, so we can't really blame them because they got them in the senior citizen buildings. I call them senior jails or concentration camps. It was a time where the seniors was in the house with us, and when mom or pop had to go to work, who was giving the wisdom to the kids? The children, brother. I'm sorry. Like, people don't like that word. The children. It was the seniors. So this has a lot to do with what's going on today. I heard Sister Aset mention her mother and father have been married for about 40 years. They've been together. You know, it's hard. You know, you have to commend people that stay together that long. Because relationships today, they may last 4 or 5 years at the most. I know so many people is divorced, even me. I got divorced because of my wife wasn't growing with me, you know. And I was growing and studying and learning, and she just wanted to keep up chaos. But we got to understand this is how we've been taught. And what we need to do is what we're doing now is re-educating and reprogramming the mind of people who want to change for the better.
Yeah.
So the Truth Doctor is about to take a break, and y'all ladies, take it from here.
All right.
Oh, yeah. We'll close it on out. I guess we're going to take a couple of callers. We have a few minutes. I think I'm going to take a caller or two here. Did you want to say anything, Sister Desiree, before I took a caller? Did you want to add anything?
No, you can go ahead and take the caller.
Okay. Let's see here. Let's have a couple people in queue. I'm going to see. Caller with area code 480-4344. You're on the air. Did you have anything that you wanted to add to the conversation tonight?
Yes. I wanted to say that, peace everybody. I hope everybody's having a good evening. I really wanted to just say that one thing I've noticed is we are dating potentials in the community. You know, what I mean by that is we are dating people with a hope. You know, not looking at the person that they're actually with. They're like, we hope this person will change, or this hope, this person said they're going to marry us, you know. Like, he's going to marry me. Like, it's always in the future tense. Like, we're dating people with the hope of, the expectation. And we stay hoping that things will come to fruition, instead of really looking at the person who they are at the present moment.
That's right.
You know,
I agree.
I'm glad you said that. We all have that.
Yes. Yeah, because I know because I've been there, you know, and it's like, and I said it like, because, you know, like somebody might have, you know, had drinking or smoking, and then you're like, I'm going to stop, you know, and you're like, really? And they're like, yeah. So it's like you stay and you're hoping that they'll stop, and they never do because you can't change the person or right. You know what I mean? And then you just stay and then you're like, oh, you said you would have done it. No, like, but also, one thing I also want to say is, like, we need to start putting time frames on things, on relationships, you know, because we do it with everything else in our lives. You know, there's an expiration date on our milk. There's an expiration date on everything. So, you know, bank accounts, you got to renew that, you know, to see if it's good, right? So I feel like we should start putting time frames, setting that up. This is what we're going to do in this amount of time. And if they're not on board, set it aside. Stop hanging around and waiting and giving it years beyond expiration date. Give it a time frame and stick to it.
Mm-hmm.
This will save you so much heartache. Because we think that because we're in love, then we should just hang around and stay with it until or whatever. No, it's still something that you have to address and deal with for your betterment.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And I think because most men, if they hear that, they're like, what? Like, oh, you said, well, if he starts to, you know, say something else, then you know he's not the one or she's not the one. Because everything, you have a time frame with your rent, with your car note, with everything. You should have it with your relationship as well.
True. You gotta when to let go.
Yeah, when to let go or when to move forward. Like, this is where we're going to buy a house. This is when we're going to move in. This is the time frame we're going. You know, because nowadays, because of our situations, people do cohabitate. But if you're going to cohabitate, have a set plan. Have a plan. There's nothing wrong with having plans where this is what we're going to do. We're going to put money aside, and this is what because we don't plan. We're not very organized. You know, we just let things go. And the next thing you know, you're in it for 3-5 years without nothing to show for it. No, set time frame for what you want to accomplish.
That sounds like this is the superwoman.
No, but you know what? It's go by trial and error, because that's what I'm, you know, dealing with sometimes, you know, in my relationship. Like, because you know how you go through stuff, and you're like, oh, if I would have just set a time frame, then excuse me, Queen. Yes.
Are you superwoman?
Yes, I am. I am.
Oh, okay.
I am.
I thought you sound familiar, superwoman. How you feeling? I never forget a voice.
My chest.
We should have brought a superwoman on the show with us. A superwoman knows what's going on with some of these foul acting brothers out here, you know. But it's something back in the day. And let me run this past because I'm a little older than y'all guys. I'm 51. Be 52 this year. Thank the Lord that I'm here, and I'm talking about the Lord of Africa, not that other guy. And
yeah, get it right.
Not Sky Daddy, not the European Sky Daddy. But let me tell you something. Back in the day, let me tell you something. One of the hardest things to get was a woman to give you some sex. But it's too easy now. That's one of the biggest problems that I see, that women open their legs too quick to these guys, because women don't understand. You hold the trump card. The trump card is your yanni. Your yanni, the guys want that yanni, and if you make a man wait and not, not punish wait, but make him respect you, it's a way to make a man respect you before. But if a man dates you in 2-3 dates, you jump in the bed with him, he ain't going to have no respect, because he's feeling as though if he could do it, then the next guy that come along can jump in the bed with you. So back in slavery time, we didn't have all these marriage ceremonies and stuff you got now. We purely jump over a broom. They used to court the women. Slaves ain't had no money. You know what I'm saying? So they courted the women with, I bet you back then was really courting back then. You ain't had no money. Wasn't all about money, all about, who got this and who got that and what you could do for me and all this stuff. All that wasn't there. It was pure love. They jumped the broom and stayed together. Some people jumped the broom, got themselves out of slavery, and then brought their people out of slavery. Purchased their family's freedom. So we need to get back to the basics. And these marriages that we have today, people got to understand they're new. And if you want to look it up, it's called the nuclear marriage. Where families stay together like they do today, go to all these ceremonies, pay $10,000, $20,000 for a wedding, and get divorced a year later. Money wasted. So what's happening is it's called nuclear marriages. It started around the time of the Russian and the America, what they call the beginning of the Cold War and stuff, where families start to group together. But estimates is that only 26% of the people in America are married, white and black and everybody. 26% are married. Everybody else is shacking. When they started that back in the day, the old folks named it shacking. You shacking up, it was like, you was like, they looked at you kind of funny if you shacking up and you wasn't married and all that stuff. There wasn't no type of ceremony in the church or jumping the broom or whatever. Shacking up was looked at bad, and a lot of people are shacking up. And my mother used to say, told my sisters, why don't let the man taste the milk before he buys the cow.
That's right.
And they will have utmost respect for you, because unless they're going to rape you, how they going to get it?
That's
true. Sisters have to take their part in this. You can't say, oh, this guy fine, looking at his print in his pants, and, half the Negroes got some stuff down there anyway. It's like sisters have stuff in their bra. They go to a disco with tighter pants on. And the sisters have to look at. I know they used to look at the hands. He got big hands. He got big feet. That's supposed to mean something. He has something else big. So, it's a lot of sisters, looking at these type of images, too, where it need to stop on both sides of the fence. Because if you holding the trump card in your hand, you won the game. They going after what you got. And if you got a guy manipulate you into that, then you got to check your game, too.
But can I interject for a second? I agree. I agree, but I'm not trying to play devil's advocate because I've been there. It's like we don't understand boundaries. Some of us have never was taught boundaries, and then because we don't know boundaries, we don't know how far, how not far. Because a lot of us, I won't say a lot of us, I'll speak for myself. There's like, you've been here, growing up, your father look at you, differently, or your friends look at you differently. You go to white school, so you start to feel so insecure. There's a lot of insecurities. And no one is there to actually help build you up and let you feel that you are unique and you are special and you are wanted. And the only thing that you feel that you can't offer to keep someone is the yoni. It's like it's like no one ever, lets you know, like, hey, you know what, you're very smart. You're intelligent, you're creative. Do you know you're one of a kind? No one is preaching that. The only thing people preaching is how fat your ass is, how big your breast is. You know what I'm saying? The bigger the breast, the hips. You know, you look at it because that's visual. Because you're like, oh, men are visual. So it's like when someone actually gives you attention for something, you're like, wow, that made me feel good. So you're thinking, okay, so that's what they like. So I actually impressed someone. It's like you come home with a straight A. They're like, oh, you could have done better. No one is ever like, you know, make you feel good about yourself. That's lacking in our community. So the only thing a woman does have is what people let you feel good about. Because maybe the one time in your life somebody actually gave you a compliment. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a negative compliment, but at the end of the day, it's still a compliment. Because your parents are busy. She got 4 or 5 kids. She's not really giving you any attention. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's like no one, you go to school, you're competing there. You come home, you're competing there. So it's like, where's my body? Who do I go to teach me how to build me up? You know? And you may build yourself up like, yeah, I'm queen, but then you build yourself up so much that that's like a facade. Now you have ego. Ego ain't, you know what I mean? Like people think because you have this ego and you're flexing it, now that's not the real you. You're still putting up a facade. You're still fronting, even though you have some, even though you built yourself up, quote unquote, to get you through the door, so people won't see that wall that you built up. But even that is still negative because you don't know when to break that down.
Right.
Well,
right.
Well,
so many young women in our communities don't have that value. No one is making them feel good.
Yeah,
between the hours of 3 to 7, from 3 to 7 p.m., they ain't doing nothing. They ain't doing nothing.
Well, I can tell you this, Superwoman, that it's a lot of sisters out here without no father at home and no male image around. And I notice that a lot of them gravitate towards these guys who takes the place of the male image that they're not, privy to rather. And they get trapped up. I mean, I've seen guys come in and overpower a young girl and get them to do what they do, and they have a father at home. Because, see, black men has lost their control of protecting their women, protecting their community and everything. And, it's really pitiful. The black man needs to stand up.
Oh, yeah.
The black man needs to stand up and stop playing these games because your manhood, if your manhood is based on how many women you can lay up with, you're not a man. Because you cannot become a man off of a feminine principle unless she's birthing you into the world. Because in Africa we had things called rites of passage, where at a certain age, the Jews stole it and called it bar mitzvah. And at a certain age, the males go to the men to teach them how to be warriors and men and to have responsibility and how to feed the community. And the women would go with the women, and they would teach them how to do women things. So that translated all the way up into maybe in the 50s, maybe in the 60s, the beginning of the 60s, where we had all these groups. The women had all these auxiliary groups. They had groups in the UNIA. They had the what they call them, the Eastern Stars, and all sorts of groups where women got together and did women things, like the Black Cross Nurses and the Garvey movement. They had a lot of activities where women got together and they taught the younger women how to be women. So that's missing. So I think that we need these things again. There's some noise in the background. So I think that we need these things again. And if we don't get them, we are not going to see change.
That's right. We're not. Even though we're scattered, we should all be organized and where we're at to form these types of organizations in our community. We need to all be doing the work. It's needed. I definitely personally, I know a lot of women can identify with what the sister just said. So right.
It does. It starts in the home. It starts with the upbringing. It starts with that person, that male or female, their surroundings, and what they're exposed to, and how adults respond to them and praise them. And it does start with that. So
that's true.
We put values on the wrong things.
I know of people that marry for security instead of marrying for general love, and then they're trapped in this marriage that they marry just so they can feel secure and get taken care of by the man or whatever, and then years later they realize that they don't really care about the person, and then the marriage crumbles, and the people don't want to be together, and then the children are looking because they have children and stuff, and the children is wondering what's going on with mom and dad, and they hoping that the family could stay together, and then you're trapped because you don't want to hurt your children, and then you don't want to be seen, you just don't want to be seen by your children that you're just walking out on their mother or their father. So it's a lot of stuff that we've been in this place that we have learned that we need to unlearn and get back to being black and being back to practicing cultures that is indicative to us, not these Europeans, because we see what they do. We see on the TVs how they put all this stuff. We see how they push homosexuality. We see how they push pedophilia. We see how they push sex with animals. And, they just do it all. We see how they push, people to change their sex. I don't care how many operations a man has. He's never going to be a woman. I don't care how many operations a woman has. She's never going to be a man. That's some type of mentally insane stuff. The minute a man is going to have a baby, I'm going to go up to the tallest building and jump off. Because I know the world is finished.
Yeah, don't say that. Cause You know how they, they might find a way. They may find a way. I'm telling you, they working hard at these things. Okay.
They tried to push one. Hey, they tried. Sister, I said they tried to push one, but it wasn't no real man. It was a woman who became like a man, and she got pregnant. And they tried to say a man got pregnant. I think this was about 2 or 3 years ago. I was like,
I think I heard
First I looked at it, then after I realized that it was a woman that transformed herself into, I ain't going to say a man because she's not a man.
I know
she tried to appear to look like a man or act like a man and anything. And I see dykes or what you call bull daggers or whatever you want to call them. No matter how much they try to act like a man, you can still see that's a woman. That's a woman. They tie their breasts down. I mean, our people are really sick. We don't went mad with this European culture. And Marcus Garvey warned us. Marcus Garvey said that you're going to eat so much of Western civilization that it's going to kill you. You're going to die from the effects of Western civilization. And I can see it happening to our people now. Yep. So what you think about that, Sister Superwoman?
Oh, I have put her
Is she
on
still
mute.
with us?
Yeah.
Well, Sister Desiree, let's go to her. What you think about that, Sister Desiree?
I feel it's true. Marcus Garvey, he had a vision. He could see ahead of things, and I mean, he's right. We are living in what he predicted. We are living that right now. So many of our people are so messed up. I mean, we're eating food that's not meant for us to eat, that's only meant for white people to eat. That, we're not eating our food. We're not in our habitat, So it's messing with the minds of Africans. Our minds are just totally gone,
And in Dr. Africa's book, and I know you read it, Dr. Africa said it takes over 1,000 years for people to change their diet to another people's diet.
Yeah,
1,000 years.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
And also, he said something about, like, when you put certain chemicals on your skin, like lotion and stuff that have those chemicals in it, it only takes, like, 22 seconds or so before it gets into the bloodstream.
Exactly.
So it's like best to use, like, natural coconut oils and stuff like that. Because when those things go into our body, into our pores, and reach the bloodstream, then it changes, it alternates the way you think and the way you feel about yourself. So the chemicals are the chemical imbalances is what it's called, and it causes those things. So
and imagine what that perm stuff is doing. So as it touch your head and your brain.
Yeah, black women especially are suffering from fibroid tumors, and there was a doctor, I can't recall her name. She was a gynecologist. She's a gynecologist who said something about that's the cause of the fibroid tumors in African women from the perms. And it's just, we're being just so, oh my God, we are being so damaged in our way, in our thinking. And we are the ones, we can change, we can live longer. It's up to us. If we die from cancer or if we die from whatever, it's because we killed ourselves if you really look at it. Because if you have all this knowledge, if you know that you're not supposed to be eating that pork, if you know you're not supposed to be eating that way, and you do it anyway, okay, well, you're going to suffer the consequences. So more than 50% of the time it's us. A lot of stuff are out of our control, like the environment. We're breathing in everything, so we can't help a lot of things. But more than 50% of the, things that we can control. So that's just what I wanted to say.
Mhm. Yeah. Those chemical imbalances, we've all been with a person with a chemical imbalance in a relationship. What do they call it? Bipolarism? Depression?
Yeah, that's one. Mm-hmm.
And I want to make an example.
It's hard to be with somebody like that. Go ahead.
I want to show you an example of how far we slid into this madness. In Africa, women walk with their breasts out and basically with a loincloth on some of the tribes. None of the men was gawking and, wow, look at that butt and everything. But now, as soon as we see a woman walking down the street with tight clothes on, she don't even have to be naked. She could be, with tight clothes on. Brothers is crazy. Look at that. Oh, look at that down there and everything. That's how far we done slid.
We live in
where it didn't make where it didn't make a difference to now. Men are going crazy when they see women with tight clothes on, short dresses, big butts and all that stuff and everything. We are totally corrupted from living in this culture.
Totally.
And I only say we because I look at our people as one. I don't look at individualism.
Right.
Individualism is what has us messed up to this day.
That's how Africans live.
Yeah. Yeah. The individualism, we need to be communal. Like we said, conscious community. That's why I don't like to call it community. Because we're not living amongst each other. We're not treating each other right. We're not doing all the things that we're supposed to do that brings us back in harmony with our ancestral culture.
Right. That's right. Yeah, I want to bring in another caller here.
Yes.
Caller with area code 919744. You're on the air. Please state your name.
Hello.
And
hello, this is Jean Paul. I just wanted to say
hello,
that there's
Jean
no.
Paul. How are you?
How you doing, Asset? I just wanted to say there's no gender balance. There's no balance in the gender. Everything is one-sided. We got to have a middle ground, and to bring womanhood back in the waters as well as manhood. In other words, there are certain things that a woman shouldn't cross, and there are certain things that a man shouldn't cross. And I think what has happened, we have bought into America, the Western, what they call Western ideology of relationships. And like Brother Akbar said, it has corrupted our mind. It has made us crazy. And like he said, in Africa, women walked around naked. sex was not something to lust after. And once we got here, they perverted it. They perverted our minds. When you got Playboy magazine profiting from perversion, they are sending perverted messages. In other words, I think we need to do a 360. We need to go back and find out where we got lost at and start over.
Brother John Paul.
Hey, Brother Akbar.
Brother John Paul, one of my favorite group members. This brother's always upholding the black sisters. I can vouch for him. He finds the beautiful black sisters he can find and posts them on the internet. And it's not that he has anything against light-skinned sisters, but we were not light-skinned when we got off them ships.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Say it again for me.
We were not light-skinned when we got off them ships. So we got to embrace our women. We have to embrace our dark women, our light women, and our damn near close to white women. We got to embrace them because they're not responsible for what happened to them.
Well, my thing is just this.
So I love all our sisters, but I'm never going to say a dark sister is ugly because she's dark. That is sick to me.
The dark-skinned sister is the essence of black beauty.
Yes.
Down there is no black beauty.
Yes. There's nothing. There's no light skin and nothing. Anything without the dark sister because she's the creator of all these people.
There you go, brother.
So, we have to uphold our dark sisters, even if you like light sisters. Don't look at no dark sisters and say, I can't go out with her because she dark-skinned. That's crazy.
See the dark-skinned as number one. In order for you to call yourself black, she has to be the icon of our blackness. If not, there is no blackness.
Because you know this, brother. I don't know if you noticed this. Sometimes I let real light-skinned sisters in the group, even though I'm going to let them in anyway. And as soon as you let them in and the brothers see them, and they post something, they on their post like white on rice. So, I was going to let Spanish sisters into the group. And, we ain't ready for that yet. Even though Spanish have black in them, and we love them. But, right now, the group is not ready for that. If I let a couple of Spanish sisters in there with long, stringy hair, the brothers may not pay no attention to the other black sisters. And the sister had to let me know this, because I was going to let them in. Sister I said, we're not ready for this, brother. Because the brothers, our mindset is too screwed up. We got to get these people on blackness before we can introduce them into our group.
There you go. That's the whole point. Brother Akbar, we have to settle on our original complexion first.
Talk a little louder, brother. You sound muffled.
I'm saying that was the whole point. We have to center our minds back to what we originally were first, before we can accept what they made us through rape, through social rape, through physical rape. I call it rape.
They made us hate ourselves, brother. Because, light-skinned people will be treated better. And they made us hate ourselves as blackness. You look in the mirror and you look at black and you hate it yourself. That's why it's so easy for a black man to kill another black man, because he don't love himself the proper way. And, a lot of these black men, and I say this, the sisters might get mad at me, but all these sisters wearing these weaves and blonde hair and all these contact lenses with funny color eyes and stuff that they know that they're not natural, and then they wonder why some of these black men are running to white women.
You're promoting white women. You're promoting Spanish women.
They're the walking billboard for white
subconsciously, you're promoting everything but you.
Yes.
And you're sending that message constantly to your children that when you put that blonde hair on, this is what is beautiful. So you grooming them from a child into adulthood to seek out that image. They never see that mother with kinky hair, with those beautiful dog eyes. You got contacts in them. So you
and I'm saying, brother, I'm trying to let them know that they need to they don't need to take the kinks out their hair. They need to take the kinks out their mind.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, brother. There you go. Let that mind breathe. Let that mind breathe. Put some in that mind. Let it breathe.
Yeah, we gotta get out of the sister's mind too, cause I just want to add to that. Go ahead. Hello?
I'm sorry. I thought the sister had something to say. I'm sorry. We should be returning back to we should be returning back to dark skin now. After 169 years of so-called freedom to mate who we want to mate with, we should return back dark skin. It seems like we're getting lighter as a race, and that's a sign of brainwashing to me. That's a sign of self-hate to me.
Well, I'm gonna let Sister Aset add to that.
Yeah.
When I say this when I say this real quick, tomorrow night we got a show straight from Australia live, and they were in Australia. The people was forced into assimilation, not like us.
There you go.
We've been tricked into assimilation, but these people were forced assimilated black people. And the sister's gonna be on the show tomorrow, Sister Kaylee. And she's going to be giving it up, and she's going to let us know about the Black Panther Party that started over there. She's going to let us know about the Garvey movement that started over there in the 20s. And these Aboriginal black people over there, I don't like to call them Aboriginal, I rather call them original, are living in a state of total...
But see, they changed the features of the Australians, the original Australians, with the race mixing. Then they call them Aborigines to confuse you. A lot of brothers and sisters, if you talk to them now, they'll say, well, look at the Aborigines. They have straight long. Those people didn't start out with straight long hair. They had coiled hair just like us, just like any other animal. They had dark skin until they was raped. They weren't raped by the whites. You had China circling the South Pacific way before the whites even got there. They was doing it. And matter of fact, a lot of those went to Australia was forced out of China, or what you could call Asia, into those islands.
Yes. And what happened is a lot of them got their hair, like, different between where black people live at, even in Africa. It's different hair textures. Black people, see, we got to get away from this image that the white man put in our mind, that every black person has tight corn rolled, what we call nappy to the extreme nap hair. There's black people with soft-looking hair, but it's not like white hair, but it's like almost, I wouldn't even say in between, but it's, they can make afros because if you look at tomorrow's show, we have pictures of brothers with afros, sisters with afros over there marching with their hand up saying black power, trying to rise up. But these people poison them. They got them living in this part called the Outback. And, they got the brothers over there, the same thing we got going over here. They don't want black women. They want white women, And this sister, when Sister Kylie come on, I'm telling you, this show is going to be very, very, very informative. And everybody need to tune in.
Brother, I think the difference on the hair texture. That's where I bump head. I bump head with a lot of brothers and sisters with their hair texture. From my study and research, only black people that were so-called, I call them so-called black people that have the long, silky hair anywhere in the world is the ones that have been mixed. And see, what we fail to understand, a lot of people fail to understand, is that when blacks had ruled the world, they took a lot of concubines back to Africa, and they breeded with them. And it changed their hair texture. This been going on for thousands and thousands of years. This ain't something that just took place during slavery or colonialism in Africa. It took place way before that. Way before that.
My brother.
So anywhere you find straight hair and dark skin, that's a mixture there. It was a brother from India. He was Indian, and he said he admitted himself that the original people of India had cool hair and it was dark skin until the Indo-Europeans invaded India and started mixing with them. Then they expelled them. Then they came back again, and that's what caused the hair to stay that way. All that back and forth mixing. It's not natural. It's not natural nowhere in the world. If you look at the regions where you find that at, and you do the history to it, you always know that there was an invasion in that region, a heavy invasion.
Well, if you look at the people before Captain Cook, who is the equivalent to Columbus in Australia, these people didn't have hair like the Africans, the cropped. The closer you live to the equator, the more just like being in the forest. The thicker the forest get, the more closer to the sun, the thicker the foliage get. It's just like on your head, because your head is living. Your hair is a living thing. It's living. So, I mean, I know you have your research, and, all of our research and all of our ideology is opinionated, unless we could pinpoint it to the time, because Australia didn't even see any white people, ever see any white people, till Captain Cook landed. Hawaii, he landed next day. That's where he got killed at, in Hawaii. The natives killed him there. So, I do believe, just like Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop said in his book, that once Africans left out of Africa and started sailing all around and inhabiting the world, due to their geographical locations and due to their, the weather and the different climates and all this stuff, that changed a lot of their features and hair. Even the Europeans. The Europeans got their slender noses and everything because they were in a cold, and they couldn't have big, wide noses breathing in that cold air. And it killed them. And I've noticed that brothers who work inside cold, like in freezers and places in butcheries and stuff like that, that stay in the cold all the time, they have a lot of pneumonia, and the whites don't. Matter of fact, it was cold here today, because it was warm. It probably was about 40-something degrees, so it was cold, being that it had been in the 60s. I seen whites near Temple University walking in shorts, no shirts, no nothing. I got a coat and a sweater on. So, the different people adapt. People adapt to their different. And let me finish, brother. And let me finish, brother. And Sister Kaylee was telling me that in Australia is real hot and dry. And he said when the wind is blowing, it feels like somebody has a blow dryer in your face. Now, the sun, a blow dryer can straighten out your hair. The sun can straighten out your hair if you're sitting in this type of climate. So I think, myself personally, and I don't want to try to debate with anybody, this is my opinion, you gave your opinion, that the geographical location and being in different places is what changed the people. And I proceed, brother.
I respect your opinion, and you have that right to express that. But my thing is this here. This is the problem I have with that from my research. I don't know if you know where Tasmania is at.
Yes, it's right off the island in between Papua New Guinea and Australia, and they have little people. Very little people there.
No, you're talking about the Andaman Island.
No, I'm talking about the island of Tasmania where they wiped out all the people.
Tasmania is south of Australia.
Yeah. I said it's in between that and Papua New Guinea, because that's where they sell all them islands, like Papua New Guinea, Hawaii, all of them is in the Pacific Island. That's why they call them people over that way Pacific Islanders.
Papua New Guinea is north of Australia. And now, see, let me explain something to you here. And that's why I'm going to knock that theory. Papua New Guinea is north of Australia, right above Australia. And Tasmania is right south of Australia, just right off the coast of the south. People in Tasmania, before they wiped them out, was all kinky hair, what we call kinky hair. That's for people that don't know what coral hair is, kinky hair. And the people in Papua New Guinea were predominantly, before their contact with Europeans and the Spanish and the Japanese and Chinese, they were, if you look at their hair now, they're predominantly kinky. So Australia's sitting in the middle. And these people got straight hair. Don't make sense, brother.
Geographics, brother. Climate, brother, the climate can change. If the climate can change rocks, why can't it change humans?
Let me finish, brother. The climate is no different in Tasmania and Papua New Guinea than it is in Australia.
Well, Australia has a lot of deserts. There's no desert in Tasmania. and there's no desert in Papua New Guinea.
The desert, you got blacks living in north of the Sahara, and there's they have still kinky, brother.
No, you got the brothers in Sudan, and I used to have a Sudanese girlfriend, and you have the Somalians, people who have what we call
Arab blood, and the northern Sudanese are mixed with Arab blood from the Arab invasion. Both of those countries. You actually think that the Arab had sex with all them people, and they outnumbered them, and they changed all of them? You got to understand that it's on. Most of that took place. Most of the dogs, just a lot of kinky hair, pure black kinky hair, Somalians. It's like there's a lot of kinky black dog Sudanese. Those are the ones that had contact with the Arabs. But the ones mostly on the coast in that area, just like Ethiopia. The Ethiopians lost their identity. At one time, they thought they wasn't black. And they just rediscovered that they are black and what happened to them. When the Italians came in the 30s, they raped them again, constantly raped them. They tried to turn Ethiopia into a mixed nation. It didn't work. They was expelled. That's what's been going on, raping for many years. And another thing you got to understand, Ethiopia in that East Africa was like first America.
You talking about North Africa?
Everybody was
North Africa or Northeast Africa?
Northeast Africa, which is Egypt, Ethiopia, Somalia. There has always been interracial mating and interracial trading going on in that region. That's nothing new. You know what Zanzibar? What's that? The island of Zanzibar, where the Arabs were taking the main port of the slave trade, and all they did was rape women. They used them as sex slaves. They castrated the men and used the women as sex. All those people are mixed. There is no such thing as a light-skinned black. There's no such thing as a black person with straight hair.
So how do you
do the research?
No, I've done the research, brother, already. So how do you explain the San people of South Africa that's light?
Those people are melanin.
And they have nappy hair, like the way you say.
They are melanin.
Nappy hair.
I did more research on it.
People.
I did more research on it, and they're melanin sick. That's why they wrinkle up so bad. Wrinkle up at an early age.
They say that these people are the oldest people in South Africa. It's two tribes.
I know where they come from, and I agree with you.
Brother, you can't talk over me while I'm talking. I'm the host of the show. Now, it's two tribes there. One is called the Khoi, and one is called the Khoi. And Dr. Clark said they used to argue about who was the oldest there. If you read Dr. Clark's book or listen to a couple of his tapes and stuff, it's black people worldwide. And I don't care what their hair look like. All I care about is black unity. I don't want to get into the schematics of their hair is kinky, hair is straight. Long as we are straight together, that's all I care about. Because we can't undo that stuff. Only way we can undo that stuff is by, selective mating. And it's going to take a long time because there's a lot of black people in this world for that to happen. In the meantime, I'm talking about unity, upliftment of the people, and unity. Now, I don't want to disunite our people because of hair textures. I don't want to disunite our people because of skin textures. I don't want to disunite our people for any small reason whatsoever, because then we become just like them other people who said light ain't this and hair ain't this, and the hair, you ain't black because your hair is straight, and you ain't blacker or you ain't real black and all that stuff. That there just throws a whole lot more unnecessary confusion into what we're trying to do. So, even though you may be right, you may be right, you may be wrong, but I don't try to push that. So,
I do, because I think it's very important that we know what happened to get rid of the confusion. Because then you have some brothers who are lighter because white is in power and they try to identify themselves with that. They're thinking they're better than the ones that are dark. That's the reason why I say you have to explain to them how they came like and what happened to get rid of the real confusion and the real division. And the people of South Africa, even though they DNA read, this what so many people fail to understand. Even though their DNA say that they carry the oldest DNA on Earth, it still doesn't mean that they're not melanin sick. That's my point. I don't care how old they are, what their DNA says, they still are melanin sick.
Don't you know that it snows? Don't you know that it snows in South Africa, brother? They ski in South Africa. Because South Africa is on the same what they call that line that England and all them cold places is on. That's why the Europeans stayed there, because it was close to their environment. But they couldn't live in other places in Africa because they would get sick and die early. So let's switch back to
well, I know what I want to
the relationships.
Yeah.
Go
well,
ahead,
I kind of understand where John Paul is coming from, because we want to embrace all of our people. And I understand where you're coming from, where you say you want to embrace all of our people, because we do need to come together under the oneness of blackness. And my thing is, when we talk about who's the oldest race and who's the original and who's been here the longest, I look at the gods of those regions, or what those gods look like, the ancient gods, the original gods. And those gods were always portrayed with the deep coily hair, from Asia all the way to ancient America, through Africa. And so that's what I look at, and that's what I want our people to embrace more than anything. If we say that we are,
it sounds like we need to do a show on that.
Yeah.
And do the research.
Well, because that's
and then
part
put
of
all
the
our research
disconnect in
together.
the black community. That's part of the disconnect in the black community, is we really don't know how to embrace each other, embrace our blackness. We don't really accept our blackness. Anything that looks even a little better than, or we have these subconscious and conscious decision makings based off of hair. Me personally, I'm wearing my natural hair, and as a dark-skinned female, I get different reactions. And I'm confident, and so it doesn't affect me, but I get different reactions from men and women. So I can see what John Paul is saying. I understand his approach. I understand your approach too, but we have to understand what, honestly, coily hair is a superior and dominant gene, and that is more, spiritually speaking, the more spiral the hair is, the more spiritual the being is. So I can see why from continent to continent the gods will be portrayed that way. So that is just portraying the real, true divinity of the black people. That's displaying they understood our connection with the universe. And so that's what I want people to definitely understand. Because if we don't love true blackness, I don't see how in the hell we can come together. I just don't. Talking about, this hair thing I know it gets, and then talking about, I want to get back to the weave thing, I don't agree with the sisters wearing the weave. But I see why they wear the weave, because the men respond to it, and black women, they care about how men see them. They think that a man will treat them better if they look like a European woman, because we see these men all around, buying the pornography with the white women, buying the porn magazines with the white women, on Facebook, clicking on these photos with these straight, long-haired pale-looking women. And so, I understand y'all's stance on the weave, but me personally, I understand why the women are wearing the weave. And then to the women, I would say this. Learn not to give a damn what black men think is beautiful, because our men are fucked up. Excuse my language, but our men are messed up. And we off air, it's not recording, hopefully. Excuse me. But I'm very passionate about the fact that, how we embrace these other images outside of ourselves, and then we say that we're conscious. We say that we love the black woman. Some of them do. Or, black women wanting to have these babies who look mixed. We are all messed up because they want that hair to be a little bit softer, a little less coily. We some sick people. And so I can kind of understand what John Paul is saying. Because of that, we can't even get on, me personally, how, we're messed up. I don't see when our people are going to realize the power in the blackness, our blackness. I really don't. We are some messed up folk. I mean, just truly messed up. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words at this point. Because,
all I gotta say, you have to look at it this way. You have changed your mind on how to live. Because I remember when I first met you, you didn't have natural hair. The sister, Desiree, told me she chose to go natural. There's a lot of sisters out here chosen to go natural. There's a lot of brothers out here, well, they already were natural, but, they're accepting natural. And every time I see a sister with her natural hair, I make it my duty to commend them for their natural hair. Matter of fact, they had a natural hair conference here about last week, and it was down the street from the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Community Leagues on Cecil B. Moore Avenue in Philadelphia, PA. And they had the hair conference right down the street from there, and they were walking past the hall, and I was sitting outside the hall with the brothers, because this is where we all the conscious brothers hang out at the hall, because we want to be around like-minded people that think the way we think. So the sisters were walking by, and I was like, power, look at your hair, looks good, put the Koreans out of business. You know what I'm saying? Because we can use that money in the black community. Mm-hmm. And our people who have straight hair or straighter hair and are dark skinned, darker than most of us, we can't look at them and say, you ain't black enough because your hair is straight. But we're lighter than them. That don't make no sense.
We should not. But we definitely should teach them the power, teach them blackness, period. What it means to be black.
And then a lot of our people don't understand. The darkest people on earth is not in Africa. It's in the Pacific Islands. You can Google it. They have the pictures of the brothers up there.
Yeah.
They dark. When I tell you dark, they're darker than Africans, and their hair is not totally like African that we have been taught that what Africans look like. And they live in the Pacific Islands, and if they mix with the Asians, how do they get so black if they mix with the Asians? So, I understand where John Paul's coming from. Mm-hmm. But, I
mean, they can mix with them and then stop mixing with them and still hold that recessive gene. That is possible, different variations of the gene if you study genetics.
Well, according to us,
I'll talk to her about this stuff sometime.
And according to the brothers that I hear that say we should just go ahead and just screw them all out of existence, I mean, they said.
I don't know. No, that's not the answer either.
But I've heard brothers say it. We just screw them out of existence, but I don't get with that. You know what I'm saying? Because I really don't want none of their blood interfacing with my blood. But we can't help it. Because if you have a light-skinned sister or a light-skinned brother then you have somebody, according to that, has been tainted with the white gene, and you're bringing it into your children. So, you know, my ex-wife was light-skinned. This is before I got real conscious. You know, she was light-skinned, and I would marry, if she was a good woman, I would marry her again, not because she's not dark-skinned, because I cared for her and I loved her. You know, and she dark-skinned and light-skinned, didn't have nothing to do with it. She was with me, and I loved her. I didn't even look at her because she had, matter of fact, she had green eyes on top of it. None of my children came out with green eyes. 2 of them is light, but they're not real light-skinned. Their mother's real light-skinned. And one of my sons came out almost my complexion, just maybe about a shade and a half from darker as I am. And, you know, some people believe that we can mix the whites out of existence, but I'm the one that thinks that when you put that gene in you, later on down the line, it's going to pop out in one of your children. But we were talking about relationships, and you said we're off the air, but if you haven't stopped the show, they give us time, so we're probably still on the air.
Yeah, and we have
this don't matter. You know, a curse is just an expression of how you feel. Did Sister Desiree go to sleep on us?
No, I'm here. I was just listening. You know,
you quiet tonight. You quiet tonight, Sister Desiree.
We are different variations. I mean, for sure. We just every color under the sun. Black people are now. So we have to just accept it. And I was gonna say, when you and brother, you know, y'all, when you two were going back and forth, Dr. Frances Cress Wilson, have you heard of her?
Yes, one of my favorites.
Okay, well, in her book, the ISIS paper, she does a great job explaining the sciences as to why the different texture hairs. And you touched on it when you said because of the atmosphere. And that's what she had said in her book. If you read it, she said something that it has to do with when the white, you know, when the Africans were trapped over there in Europe in the ice ages, being in the cold for so long, not only did their color get lighter because of no sunlight, their hair got straighter because of the cold. So she touched on that a lot, you know, in her book. And white people for some reason have a lot of what's that? Oh, you said it about the guy who worked in the freezers. What did you say he had in his bloodstream?
Pneumonia. They would catch pneumonia from work. The black guys would catch pneumonia easily while they're inside the freezers, but the white guys didn't because they're used to cold. In South Africa, when I found out that it snowed in South Africa, it blew me away. The brother that went to South Africa, a friend of mine, went to South Africa. He lived in South Africa. And he told me some of the most racist people in South Africa, you wouldn't believe it, is the Zulu. They don't like nobody but Zulu. You know, the Zulu
you know,
tribe.
Sam Sisto, he's a friend of both of ours on Facebook, Sam. You know, Sam
Sisto is he's going to be doing he's going to be doing the show next week with me.
That's what he told me.
To tell you guys.
No, he told me. And he lives in South Africa, and so he always telling me about everything. And it snows over there. Yeah, he does snow over there. He did say that. So that's a fact. That's a fact. But, like the reason over in Africa and all over, the reason why black people have all these different textures hair is because their hair it reacts to the climate that they're in all the time.
And when you're living in extreme heat, you have thick hair.
On top of the...
When you're living in extreme heat, you have thick hair, thick, curly hair to protect your skull from the sun.
And that's the reason why most Africans have broad noses, because, you know, to be able to breathe in, and Europeans, if they were to breathe in all that cold air, they would have got a brain freeze. That's why their nose is so narrow like it is, I mean.
Yes, exactly. That's what the scholars say. And that's been researched for a few years now, maybe 20, 30 years. So, you know,
Yeah,
I mean, and then,
but those
like I
scholars
said, that
too, I think, can I say something about those scholars too? In order to get your work published, you have to, it has to be accepted by the broader scholar community. So you have to put something in there that does not make them feel so inferior for you to even get recognized in the community, like Dr. Sheikh Diop. They didn't have to let him come to that conference and present his evidence. And I'm skeptical. I wonder, did he present what he really wanted to present at that time, because that research had never been researched and presented in that that type of research.
Well,
did he
Let me matriculate into this conversation. Sheikh Anthony Diop's work was not published right away. It took years and years and years. Matter of fact, for him writing the book, they held up his scholarly, his PhD or whatever he went. They held that up for years. And Dr. John Henry Clark and them got his book published in English, because his book was in French before. And he went through hell. Him and his companion Thea Feather Obenga. He's still alive, I think. They went through hell, and the conference was a UNESCO conference, and they were invited, because they had to invite. It was an open conference, you know what I'm saying? So they invited them, and they went there, and they made their argument, and nobody was able to refutate them. None of the white scholars were able to refutate them. But what they did was they paid them no attention, because his book's been out for years.
I want to get back
it should be in school.
I just want to get back to Well, I just want to get back to the whole disconnect. So also from my experience, like I said, I get different responses from people because I'm so dark and because I'm so nappy. And so don't let me ever come out the house with my real nappy hair. And I think everybody would scare me or try to run me back in my house. That's all I'm saying. And so I don't mind talking about people who, uplifting our race, whatever blackness, how, whatever type of hair texture that they have. But that coily hair is definitely the dominant gene. You can ask anybody with genetic, who studied genetics, who has that degree. And we need to teach our people blackness. That's all. That's what I'm for. Being black.
I admire dark skin.
No matter what black. No matter what black. As long as they can identify with the original mother and the original father. And so,
when I see a dark or light person, I don't even think about the fact that they may be. I mean, I see them as a black person. That's what I'm trying to say. When I see a black person, that's what I see them as. No matter what color, if they're light or, of course, they're dark, I know they're black, but that's how I see them. I see some Indians from India, and they're dark as, I don't know what. I mean, but they have that straight hair, but they're dark, very dark. And they're black.
And they're treated very bad in their country because they're dark. They're treated very, it's awful. As a dark-skinned woman, I've been treated, my sister's darker than me, and she's been called dirty, turd, you name it, just real derogatory names. I've been told that, oh, you're pretty for a dark-skinned girl. What, am I supposed to be ugly because I'm dark? Like,
yeah, I've heard
what do you mean? It's crazy to me.
But too bad you wasn't thought about that. Too bad you wasn't talking about that.
I can feel your pain, Sister Aset, but you can't let your personal, things that happen to you dictate what's going on around the world. Because a lot of us black people here that dark-skinned are mixed with something. Because we don't look all the way like Africans in Africa, a lot of us. And then
Right.
we still have nappy hair. Even though we had that white in us, we still have nappy hair. Now, some of these other people they're talking about hadn't been in contact with whites, probably never even seen whites till they came there. They're blacker than us with straight hair. So, it doesn't even make any sense to not think that nature don't change everything. Even the foliage on the earth changes as you get from continent to continent. I want to tell you about this story about it's an island, and the island broke away from, Africa a long way, break away, but, the water separated it.
I think you're missing where I'm coming from before you start. I'm not saying go embrace. I'm not saying.
Can I finish, please? And all the animals that they have over there are miniature of like elephants. They're little elephants. And they have the zebras, they all miniature animals. What happened to them being locked in that island for so long changed the animals. And like when you see different animals around the earth, animals that, traveled, when the land was no water, they traveled across and got trapped away, they changed. It's a known fact. Like the woolly mammoth, right? The woolly mammoth is an elephant, but he was in the cold, but he grew hair. The other elephant in Africa, in India, and they got elephants in Asia too, but they don't have hair. So, like even here,
right.
during the wintertime, when it gets cold, your skin gets thicker. You're on your feet and on your hands and stuff. I mean, the weather changes us. I mean, even from season to season here, it changes us. And I really think that this weather here is darkening, it's lightening black people up, not just whites alone, mating with whites, because I was standing next to some equatorial Africans.
Atmosphere. That's the atmosphere,
Yeah. I was standing next to some Africans, and I looked at them. They were black. And I put my hand almost near the guy. His hand was on the counter. So I said, let me put my hand up there like I'm getting something. Man, this man was so darker than me, I didn't feel black. And I'm not dark skinned, I'm brown skinned.
I just got to get this in. If we were taught about melanin back when we were in school, it wouldn't bother us if they called us name. We would be proud. That's why it's so important that we teach our young girls and boys that you got chemical and you got, okay? You make them proud of being dark.
Yeah.
That we have the opportunity to do that now because we know what melanin is. So, like when when we all grew up, we didn't hear about melanin. We didn't know about that. So now we do. So we need to start teaching the young people about it. Because I know some young people are still, they did a test with some kids and they had dolls. Which one? They had a white doll, a black doll, and they said, which one is the bad doll? The kids pointed to the dark one. Which one is, anything they said negative, they pointed to the black doll. So that's showing that our kids are still not being taught about melanin. So
no, because their mama want to go and have a baby with a Mexican so she can have a baby with soft hair. I mean, that's the condition of our people. Like, I can't. I remember growing up and just seeing it all around me. It's an issue amongst us all throughout. It's an issue throughout the whole United States of America, the light skin, dark skin issue, and I agree. We need to start teaching about melanin to get rid of that. To really get rid of that, because it's I even notice how aggressive men can be, personally speaking, and seeing it out and about. How aggressive a man can be to a dark skinned woman approaching her, as opposed to how he approaches the light-skinned woman with a little bit more delicacy, with a little bit more not as aggressive. I've heard how dark-skinned women automatically, they assume that we are aggressive and want an aggressive man. I mean, this is the mentality of our people. Like, that's why I say, and it's in the conscious community. I mean, how men, you know, like I said, they'll come on the page, and a light-skinned sister come on, and she'll get 100 likes. A dark-skinned sister will post her picture, and she'll get 20 likes. I mean, this is real. This is what's going on.
They still gravitate to the light skin.
Yes.
They gravitate to it. But I'm gonna give it up.
They really want a white woman
who love their dark sisters. I'm gonna give it up to them brothers. I'm not gonna say all of them like light skinned women, but sometimes you just that's just who you fell in love with, not the fact that the person is light skinned. It's just something about that person's personality that you like. So I'm not gonna knock people for that. Light skinned women need black men too.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just saying how they gravitate. A lot of them purposely gravitate to light skinned women. And I remember in high school, I wasn't real dark skinned. I'm not really dark skinned, but I'm brown skinned. And, even that wasn't good enough for the men. The boys, they liked all the light skinned girls. So it's just,
Wow.
Yep.
Well, I must have been backwards then. I love dark-skinned sisters, and I'm brown-skinned. Probably considered, I'm not chocolate, but I'm considered brown, not light. And I've always desired dark-skinned sisters, but they were after the light-skinned brothers.
Exactly. That's all I was after.
I ended up with a light-skinned wife, many light-skinned girlfriends, but I always desired to have a chocolate sister. I even used to say I want my children to be black, dark. So I must have been backwards or something, because I do know it's brothers out there that love chocolate sisters.
It is. That's what I was saying. I know a lot of them.
Don't get it twisted now. I meet someone that love dark-skinned women, and then they tell me how the men talk about dark-skinned women. They tell me, I've had men tell me how men talk about dark-skinned women behind closed doors. So I know what's going on. I'm very aware of what's,
I've never heard none of that talk myself, personally. That must be a down south thing.
I'm in the South. That's North Carolina, So,
because Philly, Philadelphia is predominantly dark-skinned. But Philadelphia is predominantly dark-skinned. I lived in Detroit. It was predominantly dark-skinned. Down south, for predominantly dark-skinned. I've never seen a predominantly light-skinned black community except for in Virginia.
Yeah, a lot of mulattoes in Virginia, or they call
them Louisiana.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The Creole people and stuff like that down there. So we mostly are dark-skinned. A lot of us are not jet black, but we're dark-skinned.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So and the negative connotations is coming to sisters that is dark-skinned is just coming from a fool. That's all I can understand. It's a fool. Because if it wasn't for them, it would be none of us. None of us wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the dark-skinned man and the dark-skinned woman.
That's right. That's the bottom line right there.
So,
that is the bottom line.
And I'm going to say this again. Our people who are lighter, they couldn't, they couldn't do nothing about it. They was born. They couldn't, they wasn't there to help their parents make the choice of who they wanted to sleep with or be with. They wasn't there to make the choice. So, we have to embrace them wholeheartedly, because I've seen some dark-skinned Negroes at the bigger coons that the world has ever seen. And I've seen some militant, light-skinned people that act more black and represent more black than most of the dark-skinned people I know. And I'm really tired of the light-skinned and dark-skinned black thing.
I am too.
Because, see, John Paul, and if he's still on here listening, he's in our group, very good brother, represents the dark sisters, but he's considered light-skinned if you look at him. So we can't do that because he had to reject himself. All we need
and
to
he
do
does it
is
too.
stay.
He does
stay
it,
black.
and it's really crazy.
Yeah. All we have to do is stay.
Like, people will tell him that, and he'll be like, "Oh, well, I reject that side of me," or something. He'll say like, "Real." He's off the chain. He's just his own person.
What we have to do is just stay black, and everything will work itself out. Because the majority is dark-skinned people. So if we just stay black, the dark-skinned people, the light-skinned people, they already, because most light-skinned sisters love dark brothers. Most dark brothers love light-skinned people because light-skinned women, because opposites attract. So I think if we just stay black and stay out of mixing with the others, everything will work itself out.
Yeah. And I've talked to him.
And we won't have none of this division. We wouldn't have none of this division because this sister's a little bit darker. What's her name? Because when I look in the city and I walk around, I don't see no bunch of light skin. I just came back in earlier, and I'm riding on the train and all that. I don't even know if I seen a light skinned sister. But the dark-skinned sister with all this fake weave and stuff, I've seen a lot of them.
Yeah, they've been taught to hate themselves. I said turn off the TV. Don't let the kids watch it. I mean, that's the worst, because that imagery of that superiority of white women is flashed in front of them all day long. Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, I mean, turn the TV off. Black women quit watching Housewives and the other one, Basketball Wives, and Scandal. And Gabrielle Union, I am disappointed in her.
I hate them shows. I hate them shows. Them shows almost make me want. Them shows almost make me want to pull my 9mm out and shoot the TV.
I don't like
those. Them are some dumb broads on that TV. Now look here, it's time to end the show because we over time, and I want to say thank you for listening in to Wake Up African People, and I hope that our show tonight was to your liking, and I hope you tune in tomorrow night for apartheid in Australia. And don't forget, next week we're going to have Black Brothers on with Black Root Science. We're going to have Professor Griff on. And we may be even coming back to touch on this because we went a little bit off on our subject. But we talking about our blackness and our plight, no matter what it is very important. Because you could be listening to the crazy unconscious radio right now. You could be out in the hood, hanging out, fighting and doing all kinds of madness with the people. You could be in a bar, drunk up, falling out, throwing up, and everything. But if you're right here listening to Wake Up African People, you are getting knowledge of self, knowledge of your history, and you are building up your mind. So good night. Ladies, say good night to our listeners.
Good night, listeners. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank y'all for tuning in. Good night.
Hotep.
Hotep.
Hotep.